I have a problem. I am really bad at sticking to a practice schedule. I'll start off really well. I'll say, okay, starting Monday, I'm going to wake up every morning. I'm going to wake up earlier than I did, and I'm going to spend an hour every morning drawing, doing a warm-up sketch before I start my day. It's a great idea, setting aside time to practice, but by Wednesday and Thursday morning, I'm tired. Maybe I sleep in. Maybe I skip it. Friday, though, I'm right back at it. And then week 2 rolls around. Monday happens. I skip it. Tuesday, though, I'm back at it. Wednesday, I'm tired again. Thursday, I was tired too. Friday, though, I was back at it. By week 3 and week 4, I find myself skipping all those practice sessions, occasionally making it up in the evening. And a couple weeks in, I have just completely abandoned practice because at that point, it's been 2 weeks. Why? I haven't practiced. I need to recommit myself to this thing. I've done this for years, and I do it all the time. I'm just really bad at keeping those large-scale practice habits. But in the last year, I've gotten better about it, and that's because I've stopped doing it that way. One thing really stood out to me. My goal of becoming a better artist had very little to do with what courses I chose to take, and really had a lot more to do with how much time I dedicated to practicing and really putting my head down and doing the lessons in those courses. Basically, motivation. What is going to keep me motivated and keep me learning? And when I started this whole experiment, I wanted to go to art homeschool, so I wasn't paying out the nose for college. I was using resources that I found online to get a discount or even free art education. And the number one problem that I think a lot of people run into, and that I ran into for sure, was that school itself is a habit. Ever since I was a little kid, 5 years old, I was going to school every day. I was waking up, getting ready, walking off to school. And I did that for 12 years. And then after that, I ended up going to college, and I did it for another 4 years. Art school is like that. Going to school every single day is a habit. Understanding that there are expectations being set for you by another person, your teacher or professor, that is a habit. We're used to those habits, the daily pace of life of going back to school. How do you do that when you are teaching yourself, when you're in homeschool and teaching yourself art? You need to form your own habits, a habit that is just as strong as the habit you had every day when you were waking up and going to school as a kid. So I broke it down into 5 steps. We've already done 2 of them. The first one is we need a goal. We need to know what we are working for. So hopefully at this point, you've kind of figured out what that goal is or have a pretty good idea of what that goal is. Step 2 is you break your practice down into those bite-sized chunks. This is so important. I'm going to explain that when we get to the next step. Step 3, you're going to find habits that you already have. I mentioned before that when I was setting aside an hour a day, that's when things started to fall apart, because what I was trying to do was to create a brand new schedule for myself from scratch, and that didn't work. But we all have habits that we do every single day. For example, when I walk in the room, I just naturally flip on the light. That is a habit. I don't even think about it. I have my daily work schedule. I work until dinner is ready. When dinner is ready, I eat. And then after dinner, I usually go for a walk, spend time with my family. Those are habits because we do them every single day, and I've done them for years. So what we want to identify are those habits. And many of them are just going to be hidden, and you're not even going to see them until you start to go through their day and think about them, like that turning on the light switch. It's just a thing you do. You're not thinking about it. Write down as many as you can think of. It might take you some time, and as you go through your day and go through your next week or two, you're probably going to start to notice things that you just never paid attention to, that you can write down on your list of habits that you have. Step 4, what we want to do is take those little micro practices that are a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes long, and we want to append them to habits that already exist, because it is much easier to add something to an already existing habit than it is to say, I'm going to practice an hour a day at this time. It's so much easier to say, every time I walk in the room and sit down in front of my computer, before I start working, I'm going to draw a 2-minute sketch. Or every day after I finish breakfast, 2-minute sketch, a 5-minute sketch. Or maybe every single time I go to the restroom and I return to my desk, After washing my hands, I'm gonna draw for 2 minutes. The goal here is not to make it too intimidating where you have to set aside an hour a day. The other part of this is if you can time 3, 4, 5 times a day where you can fit in these little micro practice sessions, if you miss one, say I go to lunch with friends and I miss my lunchtime drawing session, that evening before I play video games or watch TV, I fit in a little bit of 5-minute practice. It's not a big deal if you miss one because there's more opportunities as the day goes on to fit those in. Tomorrow's a new day where you can add more in. And this really prevents you from going 2 or 3 or 4 days or even a week or 2 weeks without practicing and then just giving up on the whole thing. And these are the habits that are going to get you into the steps of just being used to drawing all the time, every day. Step 5, once those micro habits sink in over the course of several weeks or even a month or two, then you can start to add in longer drawing sessions because at that point, it's going to feel natural to you. Then you can start to worry about, okay, maybe I will slot aside a half hour instead of 5 minutes after dinner every night, or maybe I'll fit it in the morning. All right, so I'm gonna reiterate these 5 steps. 1, what is your goal? 2, create small, short little practice loops. 3, identify habits that you already have. Write them down, list them out. 4, add your little practice mini loops to habits that already exist and things that you're already doing. 5, after you've done that for a while, then think about scaling up and investing more time and more practice time to your drawing. Those are the 5 steps. It takes time. This isn't something you can implement in a day or 2 days. It's something that's going to have to do over the course of weeks or even over the course of months. So good luck.